AI at work is shifting from optional to expected. In some places, it's even becoming part of promotion decisions. At the same time, graduates are being screened by machines before they ever meet a person. This is what AI in the workplace looks like once it becomes policy. Welcome to Paper Cut. Accenture is reportedly tracking senior staff logins to internal AI tools and tying promotions to regular adoption. The logic is easy to understand. Leaders want consistent tool use, especially after training hundreds of thousands of employees. The risk is also easy to understand. When you measure logins, you measure activity, not impact. People will learn how to satisfy a metric quickly, especially in high-pressure environments. And the moment employees believe AI is being used to judge them, the relationship changes. They start asking different questions. Not, how do I learn this? But, what counts as enough? And what happens if I don't? Mercer's Global Talent Trends gives this broader context. Investors are explicitly rewarding companies that integrate human and AI capabilities, and executives are expecting significant redeployment and reskilling as AI reshapes roles. Mercer also reports rising employee concern about job loss due to AI. Put those together and you get the emotional truth. Many organizations are running a transformation at speed, while employees are trying to work out whether they still have a future in it. The employer branding question here is not whether AI is used. It's whether the organization can explain the bargain in a way that feels fair. What does good use look like by role? Who owns quality? What can't be delegated? What happens when the tool is wrong? Without those answers, adoption becomes anxiety. The Irish Times describes a graduate recruitment market being squeezed in two directions. There are fewer openings in some areas, and application volumes have exploded because AI makes it easier to create and tailor CVs, search and monitor boards, and apply at scale. One business analyst role drew more than 2,000 applications. Employers respond with AI screening. The Irish Times reports that many big employers use AI to scan and rank CVs, with tools used to support parts of the interview process too. It also describes chat-based engagement replacing early phone calls in some cases, and cites survey results suggesting many entry-level job seekers suspect an AI filter when they never hear back, while only a minority reach a human recruiter. The Business Times adds a UK data point that makes this feel less local and more structural. Graduate job ads in January dropped below 10,000 for the first time since Adzuna began tracking, alongside falling vacancies and intense competition. Business Insider's job market freeze story explains why this feels so grim. Employers are hesitant to expand headcount. Movement slows. Early career routes narrow first. And in tech, postings are increasingly demanding 5 years of experience. Employer branding sits right in the middle of this. The hiring process is now the brand experience. If candidates feel screened by a black box, ignored for weeks, and rejected without clarity, they don't just dislike recruitment. They assume the company works the same way internally. PC World reports Microsoft Teams will be able to automatically update a user's work location when connected to the organization's Wi-Fi, reflecting the building they're working from. It's off by default, controlled by tenant admins, and requires opt-in. Here's why this matters for employer brand. Tools don't land as neutral. They land as symbols. In a company where trust is high, location visibility can feel like coordination. In a company where trust is low, it reads as surveillance by interface. This is the moment where organizations need to get serious about rule clarity. What's collected, who sees it, and what it's used for. And just as important, what it is not used for. If you don't define that, people will assume the worst and behave accordingly. Employer brand doesn't just travel through policy. It travels through people, especially managers. Fast Company argues that culture building is increasingly emotional. Trust, connection, and the lived experience of work. Psychology Today adds that disengagement can come from the top as well as the bottom. Quiet quitting isn't just employees checking out. Managers can check out too, through avoidance, inconsistency, and a retreat from the hard conversations that make work coherent. Then you add the psychological pressure of the AI narrative itself. Futurism points to research suggesting that constantly telling workers they're about to be replaced can have grim effects. Even if a specific timeline is exaggerated, the constant message of obsolescence changes behavior. People become defensive. They stop experimenting. They protect themselves. Inclusion is part of whether people trust the system. UK disability employment data shows the scale of the employment gap between disabled and non-disabled people. If a company says it's inclusive but can't handle adjustments, workload design, or progression, that gap becomes visible quickly. The cut list this week. C3.ai disclosed layoffs at its Redwood City HQ, with a warn filing for 71 job cuts at the site. eBay is cutting about 800 roles, around 6% of its full-time workforce, as it realigns staffing with longer-term priorities. These aren't just finance stories. They shape how employees interpret every reinvention memo. If you want to preserve trust, you need to communicate clearly, run support properly, and make internal mobility real. The question isn't, does your company use AI? It's, how does your company use AI to judge people, hire people, and manage people? Clear rules, fair processes, and real pathways into work are now the differentiators. Everything else is branding copy. Thanks for tuning in to Paper Cut. Don't let Monday catch you off guard. Subscribe now. See you next week.